It's a pleasure to have Peter Schweizer on the program and his great book, Secret Empires, How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends. It's a great book, Peter. Congratulations. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much, Mark. It's great to be on with you.
Well, it's a pleasure, and now you get to talk to a real audience. No offense to all the rest of them. I'm just
You've got the smartest audience out there. That's always been my experience.
Thank you, sir. I want to dig right in on this, and I quoted from your book somewhat earlier in the week. Mitch McConnell and Elaine Chao.
Yeah.
Tell us what you write about them.
Well, basically, look, the Chinese government has a strategy. They want to co-opt political elites. They've tried to do it in Canada. They've tried to do it in Australia, and they do it in the United States. And the way they do it with McConnell and Chao is that they have greased the family into very lucrative commercial deals in China. And Mitch McConnell's a beneficiary of that because he gets gifts from his father-in-law, James Chao, to the tune of between $5 and $25 million. And, Mark, these relationships, these are not just, they happen to do business in China. The Chao family is in the shipping business, and if you read the trade publications of the shipping industry, it is an open secret in that small world that they enjoy, in the words of those publications, very close relationships with the Chinese government.
This is Mitch McConnell's wife's family. Go ahead.
That's correct. Foremost Maritime, Foremost Group is the name of the entity. So the Chinese government builds all their ships. It finances the construction of those ships. It provides the crews for those ships, and it provides a lot of the cargo that they haul around the world. These are Chinese state-owned entities which give them the business. If that weren't bad enough, you also have this sort of rather bizarre situation, Mark, where the Senate Majority Leader and a cabinet officer of the United States, the father-in-law, James Chao, and the sister, Angela Chao, have actually served on the board of the China State Shipbuilding Corporation Holdings, which is an offshoot of the largest military contractor in China. Also, you have Angela Chao.
These are Mitch McConnell's in-laws.
That's correct, Mitch McConnell's in-laws. And CSSC Holdings, which is the company where they served on the board, have been identified by the U.S. Naval Academy as the means to finance military construction in China. So this is the heart of the Chinese military-industrial complex. And you also have the fact that after Donald Trump was elected president in November 2016, China was, concerned about statements he'd made about standing up to them in the South China Sea on some of his policies on trade and technology transfer. So a week after he was elected, the Bank of China, which is the fourth largest bank in the world, it's run by the Chinese government, put Elaine Chao's sister, Angela Chao, on the board of directors, the first foreign national to sit on that board. So they are.
So hold on now. So Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Serves on the board of directors of the largest Chinese, which is state-run bank?
Yes, on the Bank of China, which is identified as one of the economic tools that the Chinese government uses to, expand its interests overseas. It's very clear the McConnell Chao financial future is directly tied to the Chinese government. And were Mitch McConnell to do something in the Senate to upset the Chinese, they could wreak havoc on their family business tomorrow. And that's exactly the way the Chinese want it.
Okay, now let me ask you this. As you write in your book, are there indications that Mitch McConnell, in certain cases, as a consequence or likely consequence, gone soft on China?
Yes. I chart this. The relationship begins in 1993, Mark, where Mitch McConnell up until this point has been very hawkish on China. He probably gave the toughest speech on the Tiananmen Square massacre of anybody in the U.S. Senate. 4 years later, he's married to Elaine Chao. He visits Beijing, only the second U.S. senator to do so since the massacre, with his father-in-law, James Chao. And they're not there as part of a U.S. congressional delegation. The Chinese press is very clear. They are there as guests of the China State Shipbuilding Corporation. And what you see is two things happening in parallel, beginning in 1993 and up to the present, Mark. One is this commercial relationship that I've been laying out. At the same time, you see Mitch McConnell increasingly soft on China. He becomes apologetic about the handover of Hong Kong to China. He becomes less critical of their military actions. He says that he opposes legislation related to currency manipulation as it relates to China because he's a free trader. Now, I'm a free trader as well, but here's the problem. When it comes to Japan, when it comes to other countries, Burma and South America and Europe, he's not consistently free trade. It's only on China that he takes out a position of saying we don't want to deal with issues related to currency manipulation.
And I'll tell you, Peter, what's interesting, I'm a free trader, but when it comes to China, I'm less so a free trader.
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because they're building their military against us, because they're stealing our technology.
You're exactly right. I mean, they are state actors, and that's what makes these relationships so troubling. I mean, the Naval Academy says that by 2030, they expect the Chinese Navy to surpass the U.S. Navy if current trends continue. And yet you've got the Senate Majority Leader and his family that have these close ties to big military contractors in Beijing. I mean, there's just no way around it. And, you know, what Mitch McConnell will say is that has nothing – that's not going to influence his decision-making at all. But, you know, I tell you, Mark, if we worry about, you know, political contributions swaying a politician, or we worry about a politician, you know, owning stock in an oil company –
or a politician going to lunch and somebody paying for his lunch, for crying out loud.
Exactly. I mean, these kinds of ties are going to have huge effects on the way they see things. And Mitch McConnell knows that the financial fate of his family is tied to the good graces and being in the good graces of Beijing.
This is absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. Now, Peter Schweizer, when we come back, if that wasn't bad enough, I want you to tell us about the children of Joe Biden and John Kerry. That is, Joe Biden's son and John Kerry's stepson, and their relationships, business relationships with China. Excellent book. It really is. Secret Empires. Please check it out. We have a link to it. You can get it at Amazon.com. We'll be right back with Peter Schweizer.